Well, the countdown is on with less than a week until the city votes for its new mayor, and we are having the 7 top polling candidates join us on the show here for one-on-one interviews all week long. And today we hear from City Councillor Brad Bradford. Councillor Bradford, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, we'll start off with you being a councillor, and part of your campaign has been, less talk, more action. That's been the motto of the campaign. And as a current councillor, a former Tory ally as well at City Council, how were you able to then separate yourself from that past as a councillor? Torontonians are asking, where's that action? But you've been a councillor since 2018. So what do you say to Torontonians are saying that the current government has pretty much put Toronto in this place?
Well, you know what? Torontonians are tired of waiting. They're tired of waiting in traffic. They're tired of waiting for the Eglinton Crosstown to open, and they're tired of waiting for housing that they can afford. My background and professional training is in urban planning. So I actually used to work at the City of Toronto in the Chief Planner's office, and I saw a lack of accountability. I saw divisional silos and that pervasive attitude that whatever doesn't get done today will get done tomorrow. I ran for council in 2018 to fix that. And once I got elected, I saw more of the same from council. Endless debate, deferral, and delay. Nobody wants to make a decision. They just punt it down the road. So right now, when it comes to those big issues, affordability, community safety, unlocking the gridlock, we need a strong mayor of action, someone who's not afraid to make a decision, move the city forward. That's what folks will get with me as their mayor.
All right, and we'll go to unlocking that gridlock and unclogging it, making sure that the city can run. I'll start with transit, because just yesterday, the TTC Riders Group, they put out their red flags. You, unfortunately, were one of them, and you didn't respond to a lot of their questions. Why not? They had asked several questions about whether or not you would reverse TTC transit cuts and so on, but they say they didn't receive any response. What happened there?
Well, you know what? I've been very clear this whole campaign. We will restore service with ridership. And that's the reality of the financial situation that's facing Toronto right now. People are not riding transit because they don't feel safe. I hear from families all the time that, they used to take the subway to work. They used to get on the bus. Now they're in an Uber or a cab. Families where the kids are taking TTC to get to school. Now they're texting their parents on either side of that trip to make sure that they're okay. So I have my Safe TTC Now action plan. 4 components to that. We will install platform edge doors at our busiest stations. We'll have a security presence at those stations on the platforms across the network with special constables and police officers. And we'll have a mobile crisis response team to make sure that folks who need help with respect to mental health or homelessness, that they are getting those services when and where they need it across the system. Because if people don't feel safe riding TTC, they're not going to be taking it. And then that contributes to the gridlock and the congestion that we see across the city as well. We have to restore safety.
Is there anything else, another priority that you, if you were elected mayor, would put into action right away in order to unclog that gridlock for some drivers, whether it be construction, road closures, that kind of thing?
Well, I could tell you Olivia Chow's plan to tear down the Gardiner and not rebuild it is a non-starter for me. This city has ground to a halt. We have the slowest return to office rate in North America, and that the big part of that is just how hard it is to get to work. You are easily in the car for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours. When you look at both sides of that trip, it makes it harder to get back to the office, and it keeps you away from your family at the end of the night. So I'm going to prioritize getting this city moving. I'm going to appoint a congestion relief commissioner, someone whose sole job is to make sure that we're not tying up parallel streets with construction. We're coordinating all the infrastructure projects across the city, and practical solutions like redeploying 200 of our parking enforcement officers during rush hour, putting them in the intersections so that they can flow the traffic, because there's nothing more frustrating for folks when they're trying to get home to their families than sitting at a green light and not being able to move because somebody's blocked the box. Common sense, practical solutions to get Torontonians moving. That's what people need right now.
All right, we'll go to affordability next. We're just getting reports as well that rental prices here in Toronto have skyrocketed once again. They are up considerably versus last year and the years prior. What is your first priority when it comes to tackling those rising rents and making housing more affordable for those who need it? And again, they need it now.
I always talk about affordability as it relates to housing because the biggest bill everyone pays every month is either their rent or their mortgage. And I hear from young folks, I hear from families, they're concerned when they send that check in that it may not clear at the end of the month. And so the best thing we can do for affordability is make sure that we have more affordable housing options. We have the slowest approval timelines for housing in North America, nearly 3 years to get something approved. That adds to the time, it adds to the cost. Ultimately, that gets passed on to the consumer. And I remind folks, the City of Toronto has built only a trickle of housing when it comes to rental over the past 3 decades. We really haven't built purpose-built rental, and that's why you have a 2% vacancy rate, bidding wars on every rental unit that comes on. So we need to incentivize the construction of rental. We can do that with the deferral of development charges on rental housing, especially when we're baking in affordable. I have a plan to convert some of the downtown vacant office space into affordable rental, 20% affordable. And it's about providing more supply. We need to cut the red tape. We need to make sure that people can get approvals faster and that we can deliver more supply so people have more housing options in more neighborhoods across the whole city. I am tired of hearing over and over again the stories of people who have to move to Hamilton because they can't afford to live here. If you want to be in Toronto, we want to have you, and I will make sure that there are affordable housing options for everyone who wants to call the city home.
All right, we're going to move to a viewer question next from Facebook. A viewer named Janet says, some were cautious about implementing strong mayor ability in Toronto, one concern being who might follow John Tory if he was not mayor. What is your position of strong mayor, and how would you utilize it?
I will be a strong mayor of action, and I've said that from day one. And it actually goes back to my time when I worked in the chief planner's office and that culture of endless debate, deferral, delay. Torontonians are tired of waiting. They're tired of waiting for housing. They're tired of waiting for transit. They're tired of waiting for this city to finally get moving. And so when it comes to making decisions on housing, on transit, on the infrastructure that supports growth, we can't wait any longer. And, you know, a strong mayor is someone who's not afraid to make a decision. But strong leadership is also making room around the table for different views and perspectives, dissenting views and voices. That's fine. I learn a lot more from listening to people. And so I think collaboration is really important. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make the decision. I'm going to move the city forward. We can't afford to wait any longer. And leadership is about managing change and making sure that we're moving in the right direction, even if that's difficult sometimes.
All right, Councillor Bradford, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks,
All right,
Tammie.
and once again, Election Day is on Monday, June 26th. Get out there and vote.